Patty. How's it going, everybody? So here is the inaugural pre-algebra video. So I'm going to try to keep this video under 10 minutes or less. We'll see how I do. First off, happy St. Patty's Day. Representing. Hope you guys are doing well. By the time you guys watch this video, it won't be St. Patty's anymore, but either way, happy St. Patty's Day. All right, so we're going to continue on with pie graphs. You guys last week, or the week before last week, you guys learned how to make pie graphs, but you guys were given information that usually had 100 people. So all your different components of the pie graph usually was already made into 100% for you. Today, we're going to kind of expand on that. If you're given information that doesn't already equal up to 100, what do? Well, we're going to do that today. So, first off, I'm going to do the first problem from your guys' homework tonight. It looks like that. This is literally your homework that I'm going over with you. I've already uploaded this onto Sycamore for you. What I really want you guys to do is to try to do this problem on your own. You'll be given the worksheet that looks like this, blank. But I will also give you this as well, my version already done, which I'm about to do for you guys right now anyways. Try it on your own after we're done here, okay? That way if you don't do it right, you have plenty of references here on the board and you have the paper. So again, just give it a try, and if you don't get it, rewatch this video. Use this as a reference. All right, so here we go. I wrote the problem down for you that I went to 12 concerts in the last year. 2 of those were rockabilly, 3 were rock and roll, 4 were punk rock, 1 was a folk concert, 2 were country shows. Take that info, make a pie graph with it. So we, as usual, right, I'm going to make you guys do this the long way. Let's make sure you guys can still see all that. And then let's just divide that right there. So we're going to have first rockabilly, then we're going to have rock and roll, punk rock, country, and I believe the last one was folk. So there we go. Those are the genres of music that I went to. That's what's going to be represented in that pie graph behind me. So if we know that we have 12 total concerts, we now got to figure out for rockabilly, let's just say 2. Well, what version of 2 is 12, what percent of 2 is 12, and then really what percent of this pie graph is 2. So here's how we're going to start with that. We're going to go, and I'm making sure I do it all the same way here that I did it on your homework, just to keep it all systematic. 2 is what percent of 12, okay? So the reason why we want to do that is the 2 rockabilly concerts, what percent of 12? That's going to basically give us kind of our 100%, and then we're going to take that percent and then find out what percent of this circle is going on. Again, we want to find 100% because that's what this whole circle is 100% of the concerts I went to. That's why we're starting with this percent proportion to start off with, and then when we get that percent, we'll then do what you guys are already used to doing, and we'll turn that percent into the percentage of 360. Kind of confusing, so let's just keep doing it here. Okay? So I already did that math. Once you guys do your percent proportion, you're going to figure out that it's X is 16.66 repeating, or we're just going to round that up to 17%. Now we have to do what is 17% of 360. And when we do that percent proportion, is over of equals percent over 100, we're going to get X equals 61.2, or we're just going to round it down to 61 degrees. So that's what we're eventually going to graph here in our graph. How am I doing on time? I'm at 5 minutes. All right, so if we do all of this, right, rock and roll now, 3 is what percent of 12? Because again, I went to, 3 rock and roll shows, right? So I want to figure out what's my overall percentage out of 100, even though I only went to 12 shows, right? We got to figure out a whole 100%, like a circle is, right? But then turn that percent into 360%, again, of our pie chart. So what 3 is what percent of 12? Again, my math I did. After I set up the percent proportion like you guys will do, I then got 25%. And then again, I go, what is 25% of 360? Because again, what is 25% of 360? I need to find out what chunk of this pie graph I'm going to actually be graphing to represent the amount of rock and roll shows I went to this year. Okay? So if we keep going, I'm just going to kind of streamline this here. Let's see, country music was the same as rockabilly, right? It's the same amount of shows, 2. So that one ended up being 61 degrees. Punk ended up rounding up to 119 degrees, but you should get about 118.8, but we'll round that up to 119 degrees for graphing. And then folk music, where's my folk music? There it is. We're going to graph 29 degrees. Now, just so we know as well, when we did all that work, folk also represented 8%. Punk represented 33%. Country represented 17%. And those numbers too, you guys, just so you know, when we did the percent here, rockabilly, that's going to make up 17% of the shows that I went to, right? So when we think of how many shows did Mr. Jones go to this year, and we say, oh, 12. Oh, cool. Well, how many of those were rockabilly shows? Oh, well, he went to 2, right? He went to 2 rockabilly shows. Cool. What percent of the shows that he went to were rockabilly shows? Well, after you do this math, you would be like, oh, well, 17% of the shows he went to were rockabilly. But to be able to graph that in here, we had to do this extra work to get it to 61 degrees to figure out what our pie is going to be. Now, I am going to show you how we're going to graph all that info. I got to walk over here to my desk to get my protractor. Put you guys back there. All right, and again, you guys are going to have all this info. I already scanned it to you. It's on Sycamore already, okay? So, let's see. Here, I'm going to move you guys a little bit just so you can see me graphing a little better. So, as you guys know, we can start our line anywhere we want. I'm going to do our line right here. And the first chunk I did was rock and roll, okay? Why did I do rock and roll? Because I know it's going to easily give us 25% of our circle, which I know is going to be 90 degrees. Let's see. Oh, I didn't finish the rock and roll. Rock and roll, once we do all that math, that gave us 90 degrees, right? But that makes sense. 25% of the circle should equal 90 degrees once we set up that percent proportion, and it does. So then again, once I start here, boom, I'm on 0. I'm going to go up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, all the way to about 90. My line's a little crooked, but you guys can see that makes up 25% of the circle, 90 degrees. So now I title that rock and roll, and then I go with my 25%. We're about at the 10-minute mark. I'll take about 2 more minutes and we'll be done here. All right, so I know rock and roll is done. Next one I did was punk rock. That one's a little bit bigger. That's my 33% of the circle. Graphs at 119. So again, my new line of origin is right here. I go up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 90, 100, 110, almost to 120. Gives us about 119. And again, on your guys' paper, right, you guys use your protractor, so it'll be a little bit neater than mine will be. That one's going to be punk, and that one is 33%. Remember, we write our percent in there, not the degrees. That's just how we graph, but this is the actual percentage of the shows that I went to. All right, so punk's done. Then the next one I did was folk music. All right, so this is my new line of origin. So I'm going to have to get kind of twisty. I'm looking for 29 degrees. So boom, up to 10, up to 20, almost up to 30. And then I'll connect that line. Boom. Folk music, 8%. My new line of origin over here, I just did rockabilly on here. So rockabilly, we know we're going to do 17%, 61 degrees. A little twisty. All right, rockabilly, 61, up to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Finish my line there. That one was rockabilly. Put our percent in there, 17%. And then again, my last one I'll do is country. And country had the same amount, so that's also going to be my 17%, 61 degrees, which we just graphed that. So it should look pretty similar. Again, my line's a little off because I have a not perfect circle and I'm having to contort and twist. Your guys' paper should end up a little bit more accurate and neater like mine did. But for all intents and purposes, we can just kind of keep moving forward here. And you guys know, really, if we just graphed 61 degrees for rockabilly, country should already be pretty much done for us, but we check it anyways. And again, a lot easier when you have a piece of paper. You don't have to contort like I do. But again, up to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So it's a little bit off up here, but on your paper, on my paper, it should be a lot more accurate like mine is. And we just got to finish the label. Country music, 17%. Old country, not new country. Hank Williams, Johnny Cash, the good country. All right. Happy St. Patty's Day, you guys. My band recommendation for the day, Flogging Molly, because it's St. Patty's. Here you go, pie graphs. Hopefully that made sense. If it didn't, rewatch the video, reference this on Sycamore, or you also have your textbook, and again, pages 380 to 385 in chapter 7. We'll cover that, so you have that as a reference as well. All right, guys, have a great day.